Alright, in this video, I will be going over constant speed propellers. Now, what is a constant speed propeller? A constant speed propeller is a lot like a normal propeller, but you see how this is a fixed pitch normal propeller, and you see how each blade has a twist in it. Now with a constant speed propeller, this blade pitch, the twist in the blade, is controlled by a lever inside of the cockpit. It's normally blue, but in some cases it can be black, and there are some aircrafts with a constant speed propeller that don't have the lever in the cockpit, and the blade pitch is controlled completely by the computers. But in the 182 that we flew, it had the blue lever, you know. You'd want it full in for takeoff and landing, and then if you were cruising, you could pull out some throttle, increase the blade angle, and then the blades would take a bigger swipe out of the air. So it would increase the angle, so your cruise performance would be a lot better. It wouldn't have to turn as fast to get the same amount of thrust. Now the reason we have these constant speed propellers is because with the fixed pitch, we make some compromises in certain areas of performance to have a greater overall, ability to fly. With the constant speed propellers though, like this is, the twist is made so it does well in both takeoff, landing, and cruise. But with the constant speed propeller, you can change the angle of these blades, and that can make your takeoff performance greater, your landing performance greater, and your cruise performance greater based on how you change the blade angles. Now, a good way to understand how the constant speed propeller works, how it changes blade angle, and kind of like the aspect of it. If you treat the aircraft like a bicycle or a car, and the constant speed propeller is kind of like a transmission or a gearbox maybe, and with the fixed pitch, you don't have any other gears. It's a one gear, takeoff to landing. Nothing changes with your prop. So it's basically riding a BMX bike or a scooter uphill, downhill, through the mountains, wherever, right? With the constant speed propeller though, we're able to, have an easier time climbing because we're able to, we'll have an easier time climbing because we'll be able to take these bites out of the air that do the best for us, right? With these fixed ones, it's going to take the same swipe of air every time it turns around, whether you're taking off or whether you're diving, whether you're climbing or you're in cruise. It's going to take the same amount of air every time it swipes through. With the constant speed, we can make it take less air, so it has an easier time turning, and we can climb with a greater performance. And in cruise, we can have it so it takes a bigger swipe of air, so the engine doesn't have to turn as fast, which gives us a greater power output. And so, RPM and manifold pressure, right? RPM, we have it on the fixed pitch, doesn't change. It's how fast the prop is spinning, how fast the engine is running, the speed of the engine. Not how fast you're going, but how fast the engine is working. And then the manifold pressure is something that is added onto the aircrafts with the constant speed propeller. The way I understand it, manifold pressure is basically your power, while RPM is the speed of the engine. Now, the greater manifold pressure, the greater power you have. Now, you can have a high RPM, it's spinning really, really fast, Now, if you have a low manifold pressure, it's not going to be taking as big as swipes out of the air. So that's what you use for climb and takeoff and landing. Now, for cruise, we increase the blade angle and lower the RPMs. So it's not spinning as fast, but it's taking these bigger swipes out of the air and pushing us forward at a greater speed. And it's giving us a better performance than what we would have with a fixed pitch propeller.